What is up, YouTube? ZukiM1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today we are going to be looking at my red hybrid deck. So if you guys remember in the last video I had posted, not this one, not the most recent one, the black hybrid deck, but a video before, I'll post a little thumbnail picture right here. It was basically saying what deck is next. I had proposed you guys a question with the decks that you guys would like to see. The first comment was that you guys wanted to see all my hybrid strategies. The black hybrid, as I mentioned before, I won't be able to showcase that one right away because of the bugs that's going on with not just Hagurimon X Anybody, but also with the Lady Devimon X Anybody. So there's a lot of bugs going on with any Digimons that generate tokens right now. I don't know if Juan and his team is working on it right now. I'm not sure, but until they fix that bug, I cannot show you guys this deck. But I can, however, show you the red hybrid deck, and we're going to get into that right now. So if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to hit me with the like and subscribe button. But let's go ahead and get into the video. So first, we are running 4 copies of the BT14 Koromon. It has a very simple effect. When a card is removed from security, draw 1 card. Granted, if a card is removed from security by another card effect, as long as this is in the inheritable of that Digimon, you can always draw a card. So this Koromon is insanely useful because you will always have a way to be able to draw a card if you're removing pieces from their security by card effects or by just attacking into it. This card is very much alive. It is not dependent on your tamers whatsoever. So it's an insanely valuable egg, which is why you majority of the time will see this in most red strategies. Next, we are running 4 copies of the BT6 Flamemon. It just has the inheritable of, while this Digimon is a hybrid or a 10 warrior form, gain piercing. Now, the reason why you're running this card is a lot of times what red hybrid decks were bumping into was that once you put up a blocker, it didn't matter what the blocker was, the deck would just suffer tremendously, which is why they printed one of the Takuyas to also have piercing in the effect, right? You absolutely need piercing in this deck because you're doing big checks, and for you to be able to complete those big checks, you need to be able to deal that damage. If you cannot deal that damage, your deck literally loses all of its gas. So running 4 copies of this card, you want to see it, you want to digivolve over it, you want to pull it from your trash to put it in the inheritable of one of your other Takuyas, because all of your Takuyas except for the one from BT17 can add sources to itself before it digivolves into a Digimon. So you got a lot of different effects to be able to choose from. You don't care about ruin mode, you don't care about a lot of negative DP blankets in this deck because you're able to just pump up your numbers to insane values. So having cards like Flamemon to just give you piercing is insanely valuable in this deck. Next, we are running 4 copies of the BT7 Flamemon. It has the effect on play. You can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and add either a Susanomon to Kuya or a hybrid in name. So you can grab up to 3 different targets, but you can only grab 1 copy of those 3 targets. So think of it as like a red memory boost essentially. It has its its usabilities and things of that nature, but really what you care about the most with this Flamemon is the inheritable, which is on deletion you may play a Takuya from your hand without paying the memory cost. So that includes your 4 cost Takuya, your 3 cost Takuya, or your 5 cost Takuya, right? So you have a lot of different options for Takuyas. He is the most important part of the deck, but it is not solely dependent on Takuya. So earlier builds of red hybrid, there were points where you were super dependent on Takuya getting placed down. It is still kind of that way, but it's not as bad as it used to be, where your deck cannot do anything if you don't see a Takuya. Even though we do run a big number of Takuyas in this deck, you're still not completely without a way to play the game without Takuya, and I'll explain that later on in the video. But just know Takuya is absolutely an amazing card, but it is not the absolute must-have in your deck either. Next, we are running 4 copies of the BT12 Flamemon. It has the effect on play, trash 1 hybrid trait Digimon from your hand to draw 2 cards. This is not color specific, so you can actually play this Flamemon in other hybrid strategies. So if your deck doesn't have a lot of ways to be able to draw, this could be a great alternative that you can run in any type of hybrid strategies, which you do see in some blue hybrid strategies and some green hybrid strategies and so on and so forth. So definitely consider running this guy because he's actually really good. The inheritable also is, while this Digimon has a hybrid or Tin Warrior trait, gain 2k DP, which is insanely valuable for a rookie. And on top of that, you can stack this on top of each other by just constantly putting more and more into the sources to continue to gain more and more value. Next, we are running 4 copies of the BT17 Flamemon. It has the effect on play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You can grab 1 Tin Warrior, 1 Hybrid, or 1 Tamer with an inheritable amongst them and return the rest to the bottom of your deck. So it's a double hitter. And on deletion, you get to play a Tamer out with an inheritable. So this card is just insanely valuable, and you can, again, just slide it into a lot of different decks because it just searches 2 hits most of the time. So you can toss this into other hybrid strategies as well. Next, we are if you guys were wondering, this is 16 rookies, which is way more than most people would definitely run in a deck. The reason why you run such a high number of rookies is because we do not run any 5s. We don't run any 5s, and we only run the rookies to search and grab the pieces that you need to go for your OTKs. Your rookies are your search power in this deck, so utilizing them is of the utmost importance. And it's also a great way to just deal some chip damage every single turn because you're constantly applying pressure. And then when these guys die or you digivolve over them to get their inheritables, you can play out your Tamers and then just keep that aggro going. Just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, right? So I personally prefer to run a high number of rookies. Obviously, you can tweak the numbers or tweak the ratios to whatever you want. If you wanted to run a safer number, like say for instance, you want to cut down on the BT6 Flamemons and run those at a 1 or a 2 of, that's perfectly fine. And then if you wanted to cut down on some of, you really can't afford to cut down on this engine right here, and I'll explain why in a bit. But if you wanted to, maybe you can run 3-3-3, so that way you can run some 5s in there if you wanted to. But personally, I do not feel like the Takuya red hybrid strategy needs any 5s. You know, options are options, right? Like, they can pop up and ruin your day, but there aren't really a lot of strategies right now that are running options. Obviously, if options become way more viable or way more frequent in your meta, maybe definitely consider cutting down some options in this deck to put in those 5s again. But personally, I don't feel like you need it like that, but you know, I digress. Anywhoosies, on to the champions. We got 4 copies of the BT17 Burning Greymon. It has the effect of, it can digivolve over a Takuya for 2 or digivolve over an Agunimon for 1. It has the effect, when this when attacking, this may digivolve into a Digimon with hybrid traits in a name for the reduced cost of 1. And it also has raid, so you can raid into a target, which is why piercing is so important, right? You can raid into a target, trigger his effect, go into the BT17 Agunimon, then go into your your ancient Greymons, and then just completely wreck shop, right? Just no fun to be had whatsoever. And not only did you remove pieces off their side of the board, you're going to deal a huge amount of damage off this check. So just really great synergy with this deck. It has the inheritable of giving extra 2k DP. So like I mentioned before, there's just really no reason for you to ever be scared about swinging with this deck, because you're always going to just be bigger than everything that any Digimon could potentially be in security. Like, there's nothing you should ever be scared of. Next, we are running 4 copies of the BT17 Agunimon. BT17 Agunimon has the effect. It can digivolve over a Takuya for 2 or a Burning Greymon for 1, but you're never going to use that 1 over a Burning Greymon, because the combo is going to be digivolve into a Burning Greymon over your promo Aguni in the raising area. So what I'll explain that in a bit, but just know you're never going to use the digivolve over the Burning Greymon for 1, but it also has the effect when digivolving. If you have either there are specific colors that he cares about, a blue or a green Digimon or a Tamer. So a blue or green Digimon Tamer, he can warp digivolve, but that's again, that's not going to be something that you're trying to utilize in here. What you're going to utilize with this one particularly is the fact that he can warp digivolve if he has Burning Greymon in his Digivolution source. So what the goal is to swing with one of your rookies. Use your rookie, digivolve into a promo Agunimon. Digivolve over the Burning Greymon. So let's say hypothetically, your opponent puts you to 1 and you digivolved into the promo Agunimon the first turn. Okay. Pass back over to you with 1 memory. You promote. You swing with you digivolve over the Agunimon into Burning Greymon. Burning Greymon will then slide evolution into another Agunimon again, and then you digivolved over it for 1, so that puts you to 0. Then he digivolves into this for free, then trigger his when digivolving effect. Because of your inheritable, instead of digivolving into a Ancient Greymon for 3, you only digivolve for 1. So then you pass them over with 1, dealing a massive damage of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks on turn 2 with 1 memory and no Takuyas. That's the dream. That's the ideal situation to happen with red hybrids. Obviously, you're not always going to see that pop up all the time, but that is the dream scenario where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then you win the game. You win the game, but you still gotta clear them out for that last security. But you're gonna play out a level 4 or lower hybrid, and then your inheritables, depending on what they are, like if it's this Flamemon or this Flamemon, you're going to be able to play out a Takuya for free, so that way you'll have 2 bodies to be able to try to swing with on the following turn, and one of them is a lot harder to get rid of than the other one, because there isn't, even though Tamer Hate has become more commonplace, it is still not easy and accessible for every single deck to be able to remove Tamers. So even if they get rid of the 1 body on your board, they still have to try to figure out a way to get rid of the Takuya, because the following turn you can just end the game with Takuya, right? So lot of power with this package right here, which is why I say you really don't want to cut this down, but obviously it's your choice as the player. You can choose how you want to build the deck. Personally, my success with it has always been high roll, swing hard, and don't let up on your offense against your opponent, but to each their own. Next, we are running 2 copies of the new Agunimon from BT18. It has the effect, when digivolving, you may return one of the hybrid or 10 warrior traits or a Tamer with an inheritable from your trash to your hand. This card is insanely valuable. The reason why is because it allows you to be able to grab so many different targets that, if you haven't realized, does fill up your trash quite a bit, and you will need to cycle through a lot of your cards. And it's great to just have your Ancient Guardian Deity effect on legs, so you don't have to always rely on having a body on board first before you're able to activate this. So just really great as another card. And then also it just has the inheritable of giving 2k. This also has the inheritable of giving 2k, and this also has the inheritable of giving 2k. So again, like I mentioned before, they really want to hammer that get big mentality in the Takuya Red Hybrid deck. I already mentioned the promo Aguni, but let me go ahead and really emphasize what it does. When attacking, so not when digivolving, but when attacking, this Digimon may digivolve into an ancient Greymon in hand for the memory cost of 2, ignoring the evolution requirements. And then at the end of the turn, you can delete this Digimon. So what's really cool about this guy particularly is that you can set him up on your first turn to go for OTK that, and on top of that, if you slide him as one of the evolution sources for one of your tamers, when you go for like a Burning Greymon into an Agunimon, you can reduce the cost like you would have did before, and activate your Takuya and Koji effect to use the end of a turn to attack, and because of that, it will miss the timing for the deletion effect, because the deletion effect and the end of turn attack are happening at the exact same time. I cannot delete the Digimon until I complete the attack, and then the attack will end my turn, so it would miss the timing for the deletion effect. That is an official ruling by Bandai, so it is really cool that you are able to do stuff like that, where you can apply you can get a free level 6 on your side of the board that's going to be able to deal a heap of damage for absolutely free, and then you'll get an on deletion effect because all of your 6s for the most part except Emperor Greymon have a on deletion effect. But yeah, that is all the 4s. Now we're on to the 6s. Like I mentioned before, we do not run any 5s in this deck. So the new BT18 Emperor Greymon has the effect: you may digivolve this over a Takuya in name for the cost of 5, or a hybrid trait for 5. And then when digivolving, for each color in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, trash any one Digivolution card from your opponents and suspend one of their Digimons. Then this may attack. This Digimon may attack. So that's really cool because it allows you to get like a blitz pseudo-like effect to try to go for game. There's going to be a couple times where you might just need that extra push to just deal that damage to get game, and this also helps you be able to get rid of aces and other things like that. And it also has the effect: when this Digimon deletes an opponent Digimon in battle, it gains +1 security and unsuspends itself. So you can potentially, if you have enough memory, go for an Emperor Greymon play, suspend their board, swing over one of their suspended Digimon, trigger the effect to unsuspend, deal the piercing damage and 2 points of damage, and then swing again for an extra 2 more points of damage with the piercing. So a lot of explosive damage coming out from the Emperor Greymon, so which is one of the main reasons why you want to run it. Plus the fact that it also strips cards. So there's going to be times where you can actually hit the aces out of your opponent's sources. Yeah, because you can trash any source out of your opponent's evolution source. So you can specifically target an ace out of an opponent's sources to really punish them for being using them in an evolutionary source, even if you're unable to delete the Digimon itself. So next, we're running 3 copies of the BT4 Ancient Greymon. This is probably one of the best cards in the deck, and I will explain why. For each Digimon card with this Digimon's evolution that has either Greymon or a hybrid in trait, give this Digimon +1 security. What does that mean? So if you have a total of 4 hybrids in this Digimon source, he can hit your opponent for a grand total of 5 security. And for every single Digimon in the source, that is +1 security. So you can deal up to however many sources you can put in there as damage, which is absolutely insane. And if you remember, like I mentioned before, almost all of your hybrids give all of your hybrids give you plus 2k DP. So with just one source, this Digimon is a 15k swinger, right? That's just with one source. If you got two sources, which is the minimum, so like you go into one of these rookies, then swing with Promo or Goonie, and then Digivolve into Ancient Greymon, that's 3 security on turn 2 with however much DP you have, or being able to play out a Takuya for free and then play out a body for free to get more searching. Like, the deck just has so much raw synergy that just feels so good, right? It just feels so good. And you can just get so much value for literally nothing at all, which is why you absolutely need to run this card in the current Red Hybrid Takuya strategies. Next, we are running the BT17 Ancient Greymon. It has the effect on play / when Digivolving, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimons with DP equal to or less than this Digimon. So base stat is 12, but as you know, that's not accurate, right? This Digimon by itself is going to potentially be 16k, because for you to do the on play effect, you need an Aguni, which gives you 2k DP, because all of these give you 2k DP. He has the inheritable, and then a Burning Greymon, which also gives you 2k DP as an inheritable. So this is 2k, this is 2k, this is 2k, right? So if you use the two together, you are dropping down a 16k popper. So you can pop up to 16k worth for DP on your opponent's side of the board. Obviously, it only gets to pop the one Digimon, which is a little sad. I wish it had something similar to the Crimson mode, where you can apply that as you know, increments across multiple Digimon. But I guess that would be a little too strong for such an offensive deck. He naturally just has +1 security, and he also has the effect of, on deletion, you may play a tamer you may grab back a hybrid and a tamer from your trash and then play out a tamer for free. Doesn't matter what the tamer is, or the cost, or who they are. He just plays out a tamer for free. Then next, we are going to go on to the tamers. We are running 2 copies of the brand new BT18 Takuya and Koji. It has the effect, started the main. Depending on how many tamers you have, you get to put up to that many sources into it. So for instance, if I have 2 tamers, I can put 2 sources in there. If I have 3 tamers, unfortunately, I still only get to put 2. But if I have 4 tamers, then I get to put up to 4 sources for my trash underneath this tamer. And then it also has the inheritable of this Digimon with hybrid or Tin Warrior may attack the player. So this game could also end games. So this plus your Emperor Greymon, you have multiple ways to be able to kill your opponent if you are left in one of those situations of, I've cleared out their whole security with the Ancient Greymon, now I just need to deal a point of damage. How am I going to finish this game off? You get what I'm saying? So now you got the Ancient Greymon and you got the Takuya to try to finish off those types of games. Next, we have the BT12 Takuya. It's a memory fixer, and it also has the effect of your Digimon gains 2k DP, and if you swing with a Digimon with 10k or more at the end of the security check, you gain 2 memory. Now this Digimon does have to survive to be able to gain that 2 memory. So for instance, if an option comes out of security and deletes this Digimon before you're able to complete the check, then it will die. But if you die in battle while checking with Takuya, you still do gain the 2 memory. It's just like Koromon and other cards that just wants to see a card get removed from security. But if it can't see the card get removed from security, meaning if an option gets flipped out, you die. And some of you may be wondering, why does an option get to kill your Digimon before your effect triggers? Options trigger immediately as the card gets flipped. So before any effects on my side gets to activate, that option immediately triggers. So if that option is something to delete a Digimon, I cannot trigger my effects because it's not my turn anymore. I've passed priority over to my opponent and the option has to resolve. It's an interruptive effect basically. And that interruptive effect, if it has the ability to delete the Digimon, then I cannot trigger the rest of my effects on the following turn. On the resolution of the check, basically. So, this card is really good still, which is why you still run them. There's parts of me that want to run him as a one of because this card is just so much better, but he is a 5 cost and there may be times where you're not able to play them out for free, so you still want to be able to have some way to get a memory fixed on your side of the board without having to commit too much, if that makes sense. And you run 3 copies of the BT7 Takuya. It has the effect place 5 cards with hybrid and the traits from the trash to be able to digivolve, warp digivolve into an Emperor Greymon. So you can warp into him, trigger a whole bunch of effects from off your inheritables, swing over something, pierce, like just a bunch of different effects, and get up to 3 checks, unsuspend, swing again. Like it's just really good. It's really good, which is why you still run them. But there is a good argument to say you don't need him maybe as much because again, this covers both the BT12 and the BT7 Takuya. So actually, I think we on increase this. I think that's probably better, honestly. 2, 2, 3. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So then as the last of the tamers, we are running the BT17 Takuya Aiba. Now, some people were necessarily not a big fan of this one, but from playtesting and just using it in multiple different decks, I had came to become a fan of this card. Not only is the artwork amazing as the art, if you haven't been able to pick up some, but also the effect is actually pretty useful. And again, just having some redundancy on the piercing is actually very useful because sometimes you may not be able to digivolve up into your 4s. So just having a tamer with piercing as is inheritable already is actually very useful. So this Takuya actually has some uses, plus the fact that he gives you +1 memory. So if you got either BT12 Takuya or the BT18 Takuya on the board, he can give you +1 memory on top of the 3 that you're going to start off with. So sometimes you can start off with 4 memory, 5 memory, 6 memory, depending on how many of the BT17 Takuyas you got to play. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, why am I not running Gravity Crush or Bokomons or basically most of the stuff that you typically see in red hybrid strategies like Omnimon and stuff like that. You cannot search those cards. Gravity Crush is great when it's the last turn, but if it gets flipped out of security, it's absolutely worthless. It does nothing. And Bokomon doesn't get a chance to sit on the board anymore. It dies like pretty quickly nowadays, right? So Bokomon's just not really getting a chance to really see any type of real value out of it anymore besides the initial search. And yeah, granted, right, it gets to search the top 5, grab a tamer, grab a hybrid from your or a 10 warrior, right? But it's just really hard to excuse making room for that card. Maybe I could see an argument of saying maybe cut down these 2 to put in 2 Bokomons, but I just really like the piercing and just having availability to it. Now, if you wanted to, you can run the red Bokomon, which is a little less searching. You could run the red Bokomon, right? A little less searching, but you can digivolve over it. You can put it in the breeding area and stuff like that, and you still get some type of memory when you digivolve over one of your tamers. It's just not as good as the white Bokomon. But, you know, again, to each their own. Some strategies do like to utilize that Bokomon. I personally still prefer the list that I have. But again, I'm laying out all the options that you have available to you, and some people do prefer to run Gravity Crust, Omnimon, and things of that nature, but it can be a bit bricky, and it does prevent you from being able to be more consistent. If you've noticed, my deck is way more focused on consistency above everything else. I don't want to ever bump into a situation where I'm not able to make a play because I have a card in my hand I cannot use, right? Every single one of these cards can be utilized in some way, shape, or form, and they all have some type of use case point. The Pokemon for BT18 does have some use case points because it is a red Digimon, so you can Digivolve over it and use it for a lot of different other things outside of just searching you pieces. But I can get that same value out of this the BT17 Flamemon. So I don't know. Plus the Pokemon doesn't have an inheritable, so it just really, you know, like I prefer the list that I have right now. But obviously there is a world of an argument to be made for some of these other cards, and it is not wrong for you to run it. It's just my personal preference with the deck. Next, the last card of the deck is the Ancient Guardian Deity. It has the effect while you have a tamer or a Digimon with a hybrid trait, you can ignore this color's requirement, which is very useful, right? So as long as you have a rookie on board, with because all of your rookies have hybrid and trait, so as long as you have a rookie on board, you can use this card to grab back one of your hybrids or tamers, and then you can slam either a 10 warrior or a hybrid or a tamer for the reduced cost of 4. So that let's say for instance, hypothetically, you had this, and one of your burning or one of your Agunis. You can activate this to grab back either the burning or the Aguni back from your trash. And then you can play out your Ancient Greymon with the reduced cost of 4. So this is now 8, right? And then it reduces it further by 3. So that's 3, 6. So you played this for a grand total of 2 memory. On top of the 2 memory that you had to pay for this. So you paid 4 to bring out a 6 cost level 6 Digimon that's going to pop something on your opponent's side of the board for 16k on their during their turn. So a lot of value out of this deck. Like I mentioned before, it's very explosive, and there's a lot of different ways to get to your strategy to be able to go for game with your opponent. Obviously, you're giving up the protection of running the Alderman. Alderman provided you with protection from security effects. Option securities from triggering. Or this one was also did the exact same thing, that option effects doesn't trigger when it attacks. But like I mentioned before, there are some arguments to be made to run these, right? There are, but more chances than not, you're always going to be able to go from a 3 to a 4, right? You're always going to be able to do that. You run 16 rookies and 12 champs, so you're always going to be able to go to a 3 to a 4. There's not always going to be a time where you can go 3-5, right? And you may make the argument, oh well, you can use this Agunimon to place the Burning Greymon and the Agunimon in the sources of one of your Takuyas to go into this. But all I'm getting for that is just popping a 6k body, and I have to spend 3 memory to summon this. Then you'll say, okay, well, what about this one? I could Digivolve into him off of a hybrid for 1. And yeah, that's some value for sure. But then I have to Digivolve into a either an Emperor or an Ancient Greymon. And if I don't have the Agunimon in sources, I'm paying a hefty amount to Digivolve into those. All of your level 6s are pretty expensive to go into if you don't have card effects that says ignore this Digivolution, ignore the Digivolution cost, right? Because this guy costs 5 to Digivolve into. If he Digivolves over a hybrid, it still costs 5, right? That's insane. I don't want to have to spend 5 memory to summon a Digimon. And then on top of that, this guy costs 5. If you have the promo Aguni in the sources, then it only costs 3. So then that's a little bit more reasonable. But now I'm depending on 2 variables, right? Seeing the Aldermon and also seeing the promo Agunimon to be able to go into just one Ancient Greymon. And I don't see like a good argument to be made to try to be so combo reliant. You're already combo reliant in the deck already, and by doing that you really limitate your ability as a player to have more consistent plays. That's just my opinion though. Obviously everybody's entitled to their own, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the bottom comment sections below. I know there's a lot of red hybrid enthusiasts, myself included, that will probably tear me up in the comment sections, but I think I did a good job at explaining why I won the ratios that I run and why I believe in the deck being ran this way over other ways that have seen results and stuff like that. But you know, everyone's entitled to feel however they want to feel and think whatever they want to think, but just try to be respectful is all I ask. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to hit me with the like and subscribe button. But this has been Zuki-M1, and I hope you guys have a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, and great night. But I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.